Hey, everybody, really interesting topic today around the business of cloud gaming in this cloud and mobile first world with a true innovator in the space from Blacknut. Olivier, how are you?
Very good, Evan. Nice to meet you. Nice to be on the show today.
Thanks so much for being here. Interesting topic personally, as I'm focused on B2B tech and telecom and cloud and beyond, but also an avid gamer. So the intersection of these two worlds is really quite interesting. We're going to dive in. Before that, maybe introduce yourself and your vision and mission at Blacknut.
Absolutely. Thank you, Evan. So I'm Olivier Avaro. I'm the CEO of Blacknut. So we are a cloud gaming company. Basically, we deliver more than 700 games, from the cloud.
Wow.
And that is basically allowing you to turn any connected screen into the most powerful gaming console. The service is live B2C, but most of our distribution is done with telco partners, B2B, which is probably the reason why we're here today to talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm delighted to have you. So tell us, we're not going to get into games today. Well, that would be fun, but talk about your partnerships, your go-to-market. You have quite a unique strategy when it comes to getting games in consumers' hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, in terms, of vision, the whole idea of Blacknut is to democratize gaming, right? It's basically to
Mm,
bring the best of gaming and the nice value of gaming to everybody. Okay, and the way we do it is indeed to partner with publisher, with studio, to license their IP. And we are talking here about premium games and high quality games, console grade quality games, right? And we are actually delivering those games from the cloud. This means that we put the game on the server that is sitting in the cloud instead of sitting in the house, and we stream the games to the end user. Of course, for doing this kind of thing, you need to have a bit of technology because it requires, of course, a good connectivity, which is provided by the telco. But you need to master, latency, jitter, all these characteristics that makes the experience look good. And yeah, I think the service is being this will be to see, but the partnership with telco basically allow us to access to a very large audience. I think we are currently addressing a bit more than 1 billion devices, and
wow.
to stream them from the cloud.
Well, that's phenomenal, and I can't wait to sign up personally. But on a side note, I mean, you're in a world dominated by giants, giant publishers, tech giants like Samsung, Google. Of course, the telcos are giants in their own right. So, how do you navigate and partner in this world of mobile gaming and console gaming? It's quite a complex business.
Yeah, it is indeed. But I think luckily there has been a growing interest in gaming, right? I think it came from something that was a niche market, years ago, and probably only targeting hardcore gamers to something that is now targeting everybody. And even my mother-in-law is, is playing games these days, and we are really surfing on on this market. And as you mentioned, we have those tech giants. But you mentioned Samsung, you mentioned big carriers and so on. They are actually our partners
Wow.
because they are they are looking for new content, exciting experience to distribute either through their channels. So for Samsung, for LG, and so on and so forth, or through the connectivity they provide. Like telco, so they can bundle gaming with fiber plans, with 5G plans, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, great strategy. And let's talk about your platform. We could spend the entire time talking about this as a geek, but I won't bore too much of the audience in the great details. But you have a kind of hybrid public private cloud platform. Maybe talk about that you've developed and how it, helps with go to market and time to market.
No, absolutely, Evan. So this is one of the uniqueness to Blacknet. So I think we have somehow three pillars. One is content. We can talk about it. The other one is marketing, how we bring the service to the telcos, and the third one is, as you mentioned, the platform. our platform is pretty unique because it relies both on public cloud, AWS, GCE, Tencent, and so on and so forth. But we also have a private cloud component, meaning our own servers that we run in several countries and that we deploy by ourselves or with some partners like Radiant Arc, for example. The public cloud allow you to go very fast on the market because you can deploy on an infrastructure that is here without having to invest big capex, and you can actually deploy a service like Blacknut in a country in less than 2 weeks. The private cloud component allows you to have cost efficiency because of course public cloud is a bit more expensive, cost efficiency, effectiveness, and also great partnership with telcos because we can put this cloud on the edge of the network. Okay, we can have great connectivity thanks to hosting our GPU servers in the data center of the telcos, having the best connectivity, best latency, jitters, and monetize basically their connectivity.
Oh, wonderful. Interesting architecture you built there. So traditionally, as you know, I mean, gaming was a lot about the hardware, the console, the handheld device, the controller, from the Atari 2600, which I had as a kid, through to PC gaming and, of course, Xbox and PlayStation and beyond. How is that changing with your service? It's not really about hardware or consoles per se.
So it's somehow, I would say it's about different hardware, okay? It's no longer about console and PCs. Even, the hardcore gamer will still like to have their own console or PC, have the latest and new toy, right? That they can get and smell, the smell of the plastic when they open the bag and this kind of thing. So this will still exist, right? I don't think we are actually competing with this market. But there is a large range of people that either cannot afford to have basically the latest console or the latest PC, or just don't want actually to buy one more, generation of console because they don't have the use of it. It's basically people that have been playing on a console and then they grown up, they have kids and so on. So it will not be worth the investment. Okay. So either these two people are a great target for us because with Blacknut, they can actually access a large catalog of games, all these 700 games, without actually to invest in a dedicated hardware, okay? But they are still using hardware they have. So, and this hardware could be a smartphone, it could be a TV, it could be the set-top box of a carrier, it could be a dongle, like, a Fire TV stick or a Google Chromecast, and so on and so forth. So there is still a hardware component, but it's a more generic hardware component that is in general already in the home. In general, you have many of these devices. There is a couple of TVs now in the home, there is a box, there is PCs, there is mobile phone, and so on. And so we reuse this existing hardware to bring games on all the different screens.
That's fantastic. Any screen, anytime. What a great concept.
Any
Um,
place.
any
Yeah,
place, of course. That's the best part of gaming, including airplanes these days with better broadband. Pretty fun.
absolutely.
So you have a pretty diverse catalog, but there's so many games, it's a little overwhelming, and in the app stores even, to find something interesting. How do you choose which games to include in your catalog?
So the Blacknut platform is a premium platform. So it's not really about, working on vanity metrics and having 10,000
Mm,
games. It's really on having good games, right? And providing to people a great experience. So all our games are curated, okay? They are really selected, from different publishers to match our audience and also to match the different experience people can have, right? You will have a different experience if you're on a mobile or if you are on a big screen on the TV or on set-top box. So we try to have a very large variety of games that will match each of these experience. We also try to match the catalog with the different kind of audience we have. So we have games that are for kids, games for teenagers, and games from the whole family. So we are really a family-centric service. And family does not mean not just kids. I think we are really adult games as well, right? And game for 18 plus. But basically, the catalog has been constructed so that you can build profiles, okay? And we can have up to 5 profiles for the family, where you can actually put some rating and just present the right games to the right audience. You don't want your young kids to be exposed to actually 18 plus kind of games.
Fantastic. And as you know, I mean, gaming is a global phenomenon, but there are various cultural, localized differences. You know, gaming in Japan very different from the U.S., for example, the preferences. I mean, you are global. How do you cater to all that diverse audiences and requirements and interests around the world, including in France versus the U.S. versus Italy, for example?
Well, there is definitely some kind of fragmentation, and
Mm,
cultural differencing in gaming. But we did find out that actually gaming was much more global than
mm,
music and TV series. So
mm.
actually, you can really start with a catalog that is global, and that will basically please a very large population all over the world. And what we do is when we actually go into a specific region, so I think we're currently actually deploying the service in Japan, which is very unique in terms of market and have very specific interest in terms of game. We can source local games or games that are basically popular in a certain country
Mm.
and augment our catalog with this kind of games. And that's kind of common thing we do, right? I think we've been doing it for the US. We are present, in Vietnam, and we are going to source games as well for Vietnam. And as I mentioned, Japan, very unique, very specific market, and we will actually augment the catalog, which are I would say Japanese-centric games. And actually, those games could also be of interest worldwide. I think people are curious when they do gaming. They want to discover, they want to try new things. So I think it makes our catalog, I would say, kind of unique and very interesting. In addition
Indeed.
to this, Evan, as early disclosure, we are opening in Blacknut a new category that we call Le Lab, so the laboratory, where we are going to have in a very early stage some new games that people can try. And it could be experimental games, a new thing to try. And this is going to help us to understand, what are the preference or the specific usage in specific countries, and possibly to help publisher and studio to develop games that will be popular in certain geographies or on certain devices based on the data that we are going to collect.
Fantastic approach. So I was early on very interested in cloud gaming, and I signed up for several services and enjoyed them. They worked great, especially on home broadband. They were fantastic, and a number of those players, we don't need to mention them, kind of pulled out of the market. Uh, I still have Luna on Amazon, which is free with Prime members, but they have a pretty limited catalog. What happened? Why wasn't this early start or first wave of cloud gaming successful?
Yeah, first wave or second or third wave, Evan. I think it's as you mentioned, there have been a lot of dead bodies in the world of cloud gaming. And when I started the company back in 2016, I looked at the earlier or the first wave of cloud gaming with OnLive and Gaikai, and talked to this guy that actually was a pioneer in the game, and tried to understand why it did not fly. And there was always some good reason. I think the first wave was mostly probably on the infrastructure, availability of the
Mm,
infrastructure. Fiber, 5G was not there at the time.
mm,
And they were targeting a hardcore gamer audience, right? So they were targeting people that would want to play certain games with certain, quality level that would match basically the hardware they have. So the most demanding audience, if you want, right? And the hardware infrastructure was not there at that time as well. So you have very high investment in capex, very high investment in games, right? And trying to target the most demanding audience with a connectivity that was not what it is today. So that was probably the reason why this company did not succeed, at first. If you look at, I would say, second wave or more recent, deployment, such as Stadia, I think the story is a bit different. What Stadia was trying to do is really to be a new console in the cloud. So building a
mm.
new ecosystem with actually a new hardware that publishers will have to support. And initially, they kind of fueled the ecosystem to try to get it working. And that was actually very costly because you have to invest in game and in studio to port their game on this platform. And at the time, when they actually stopped doing this, the end user were actually accessing a platform or a new console without an ecosystem. And if you look at the game industry, most of these great console with that ecosystem basically failed because they didn't have unique IP. They didn't have, the Mario of the Switch, it's not the Zelda of the Switch, this kind of unique IP. So I think it's kind of, I think the explanation is pretty straightforward why actually this platform stopped. And if you see what remains on the table today, you have services like Blacknut, that provide game as a service. So for a subscription, you get access to a very large number of games. It's similar to what Luna is doing, but on very limited geographies and very limited environment. You have then GeForce Now, which is basically infrastructure as a service, right? You pay for a subscription to play games that you have purchased in some other places, which kind of satisfy a more gamer-centric approach. That know what Steam is. If you ask my grandma, they don't know what Steam is, and very very few people know what Steam is actually, outside of the gaming industry. So that's what we do, right? And I think that these two categories of service. So either game as a service, like Blacknut or Luna, or basically the infrastructure or bring your own game kind of service like GeForce Now, are currently prevailing. Okay, and it's still not yet basically a massive market, but it's a growing market, and everybody agrees that this is going to be the future of gaming.
Wonderful. And I think 5G has probably lit a fire under the mobile gaming market. I've certainly noticed a huge difference in both, downloading games and latency and jitter. It's been really fun to use 5G, including, voice and video simultaneously. So how do you get started with a telco, or, partner or a service provider partner? Notoriously, they're pretty slow to launch services, and, for good reason. There's lots of integration, the back office and provisioning and customer service and branding, security, lots of concerns. What does that process look like of bringing on a new partner?
You're right. It's a complex and time-consuming process, but very much rewarding at the end, right? And I think, Evan, you notice most of the point, right? There are big companies, and in general, the bigger, the more complex they are to work with, but basically the larger the audience, and you have several issues you need to work with them. But if you look at the positive side of things, working with carriers allows you to reach a great audience, which actually match very well the audience we are targeting, which is the general public, the families, and so on, and not only the hardcore gamer. So it's not that telco cannot provide anything to hardcore gamer, but basically they will provide great connectivity, and they will be happy with, right? But this represents maybe 5 to 10% of the population of the telcos, and we are addressing the remaining 90%, right? This remaining 90% are looking to consume games the same way they are consuming movies, series, and audio, right? Accessing to a catalog, very easy, every screen, I click, I play, right? And the carriers actually have been already providing triple play, quadruple play services, and they've been launching new new connectivity like 5G and fiber, and they were looking to fuel this new connectivity with great services that could benefit from it. And cloud gaming was actually the ideal use cases because it does require great connectivity, very low latency, and most important, very stable latency, which is called the jitter. So working with telco allows you to, one, access basically a large audience, but second, also access to an infrastructure that is very, very relevant to a cloud gaming service. And in addition to this, with the rise of AI and the rise of, lowering down the cost of GPUs and having, telcos and other providers, providing this kind of infrastructure at the edge of the networks, make it a very good fit. So if you, stand up working with telcos that you have an audience that you can reach very efficiently in terms of connectivity, and where you have servers that you can put at the edge, I think they are basically the ideal partner to work with. Okay? Having said that, as you mentioned, they have basically their own constraint to work with. They have big boats, to manage. You need indeed to integrate into their network. You need to pass basically all the security if you want to put servers in their infrastructure. And this is thing that we have been doing with Blacknut. I think we have passed, all this security so that we can put cloud inside the infrastructure of the carriers. You need to integrate with their carrier billing, or their user
Mm.
acquisition flow if you want basically the user acquisition to be efficient. And most of it, and this is probably where most people fail in working with telcos, and the lack of understanding is that if you do just this, it's not enough. Okay, it's not going to magically bring you users. Okay, even if you have the greatest service, greatest connectivity with billing, and great interfaces and reach, it will not bring user if you don't actually do proper marketing. Okay? It does not work if you're not going to work with the carriers to support user acquisition, to help them marketing a service that in general they don't know because they are not gaming company, right? And what we've been doing in Blacknut is actually to build a marketing team and a customer success team that is supporting the carrier to do user acquisition. And this goes, from providing the right assets, new games, new stuff coming on the platform, down the line to doing the full user acquisition. So putting money actually to acquire a user into this new channel. And that I think is a key thing of the market. And that very few people actually are capable to execute. And we are doing this as well, directly or with some partners.
Oh, wonderful approach. Very win-win oriented.
Absolutely.
So the market again looks bright. Even we've seen Netflix getting into gaming, and I've tried a few of their games. Pretty good. What do you see as some of the trends over the next couple years, and what's driving the business forward?
So we do see, the arrival of what we call, silver screen IPs, right? So it's basically some IP, some media, that were successful in their own space and that are basically arriving in the other space. So you can look at, for example, for a game that is becoming a series or a movie, okay? Or the other way around, a movie that is basically, becoming a game or a series of games. And of course, by doing this, you consolidate your IP. You basically provide an experience with the end user, which is not only passive, for example, for a movie, but become interactive, so much more engaging. It also allows you to improve retention on your services. So if you look at the Netflix example, and we are working with other companies that are Netflix-like, right? That are, for example, brought entertainment service, mostly movies and series to the end user, and that are
Mm.
looking now to add gaming into their platform, right? Because they understand that people are not only couch potatoes and looking at series and TV, and more looking at interactive entertainment, or want to balance, let's say to be fair, their entertainment between social networks, gaming, and movies and series. We are bringing the gaming bits, okay? And the way we do it is basically we have a platform that is provided as a Blacknut service, as I mentioned, but can also be provided as an SDK. And the SDK
Mm.
allows you to integrate in any of these platforms to turn out, for example, your movie and series platform to a full entertainment platform,
Mm.
360, integrating gaming in it and leveraging as well the silver screen IP that we mentioned. So therefore, you have seen the Star Wars movies, and you can play a science fiction game. So you played an horror game, and then you want to distract yourself and to look at a more distracting movie or play a different game that is a bit more light, right? So that's kind of multi-screen experience.
Wow, very interesting. Can't wait to try that out. So you're all about different events and shows. I'm sure CES and Mobile World Congress are both pretty big for you. What else are you looking forward to over the next few months out in the marketplace? Any events or otherwise they're on the radar?
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. So you mentioned it. Mobile World Congress is a place where we make where we meet with the carrier. We met with the carriers, back in February. We have the GDC where we work with the publisher and studio. We have NAB, CES, and so on. Our biggest upcoming event is going to be the Gamescom. Okay,
Mm.
the Gamescom is Germany, big event around gaming, and we are going to announce actually a major partnership with a tier one publisher. And we are also going to announce what is called Blacknut Plus. Uh, Blacknut Plus actually is a capability to add to your Blacknut subscription, super premium subscription with some key publishers. So I think for X euro in addition per month, you will have access to really super premium titles. And we will basically announce those publisher in the coming weeks, and another big one in the Gamescom. So that will be the major event. And the next one, Evan, is going to be the IBC. I think the IBC is where we're going to meet, the MVPDs, the big providers and of entertainment platform, which, as I mentioned, is going to be probably a very big source of growth, for Blacknut in the next coming years.
Wonderful. Well, so fun, literally, and I've signed up for Blacknut. It's a great service and really exciting work you're doing, and transformation on the technology side. Really incredible progress. Thanks, Olivier. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Evan, for the time. Thanks for the interview. It was great to have you
Yeah,
here.
likewise, and thanks everyone for watching. And look forward to keeping